In the Kherson region, the Ukrainian Defense Forces destroyed 2 Russian Msta B howitzers in a command and observation post of an enemy battalion, while in Mykolaiv, they hit the deployment point of a mortar battery and a battery of multiple launch rocket systems of the enemy. As Ukrinform reports, the Operational Command South reports this tune Facebook. Missile and artillery units of the Defense Forces continue to perform fire missions on enemy positions, areas of concentration of its forces and assets. In particular, artillery strikes were carried out on the deployment point of a mortar battery and a battery of enemy multiple launch rocket systems in the Nikolaevsky district. The destruction of 2 units of a 152 caliber Msta B towed howitzer and a command and observation post of an enemy battalion in the Berislav district of the Kherson region has been confirmed, the report says. The rest of the enemy's losses as a result of strikes inflicted on him are further explored. According to the Yug Command Center, the situation in the Yuzhno-Buzhsky direction remains difficult, but controlled, and fighting continues. The enemy continues defensive actions in the positions occupied after the retreat, and delivers rocket and artillery strikes on the positions of units of the Defense Forces of Ukraine. At the same time, the enemy prioritizes both the fire defeat of settlements adjacent to the front line and attacks on rear regions, keeping psychological pressure, promoting man-made blackmail. In the Black Sea, the number of ship groups of the Russian fleet is 12 ships and boats maneuvering along the coast of Crimea. Among them 5 large landing ships and 2 carriers of cruise missiles with a total salvo of 16 caliber. It is noted that the enemy can continue to use the practice of massive rocket and artillery strikes on civilians and infrastructure, and also continues to practice the use of killer drones. As reported by Ukrinform, on the night of October 13th, the Air Defense Forces shot down 6 enemy Shad-136 kamikaze drones in southern Ukraine. 8 Russian S-300 anti-aircraft missiles hit civilian infrastructure and residential areas of Nikolaev at night. 2 floors of a 5-story residential building were destroyed. From under the rubble rescuers got the child. At this time it is known about 3 dead. In the Dnipropetrovsk region, during the night, Russian troops attacked Nikopol and the Marganets Hromada with heavy artillery and Grad multiple rocket launchers. More than 30 multi-story and private houses, social infrastructure facilities, gas pipelines and power lines were damaged. Over the past day in the south, Ukrainian defenders hit 4 enemy air defense positions, as well as 3 places of accumulation of manpower, weapons and equipment, and 3 command posts of the 35th Army. This information was made public. Operational Command South reports Ukrinform. The situation in the Yuzhno-Buzhsky direction, in our operational area, is stably difficult, but controlled. The enemy from time to time uses sabotage and reconnaissance groups to open up our positions. So, this afternoon, the enemy's DRG came to our observation post. As a result of the small arms battle, the enemy suffered losses. There are dead and wounded and retreated, the report says. Enemy aircraft twice attacked the positions of Ukrainian defenders in the area of Davidov Brod by helicopter and attack aircraft. No losses. In OK South, note that the airstrikes of the armed forces of Ukraine were 3.5 times more in number and 10 times more effective than the effectiveness. 4 enemy air defense positions were hit in the Berislav and Kakhovsky districts, as well as 3 places of accumulation of manpower, weapons and equipment in the Mykolaiv, Bashtansky and Kherson districts. Missile and artillery units of the armed forces of Ukraine completed more than 190 fire missions. As a result, 2 Uragan multiple launch rocket systems, a Grad MLRS and a Santsepek heavy flamethrower system, an electronic warfare station, 2 120mm mortars, 3 tanks, and 3 command posts of enemy 35th Army units were destroyed. In addition, 2 Russian Orlan-10 unmanned spies were destroyed while attempting to conduct aerial reconnaissance. In the Black Sea, the enemy ship grouping has increased to 15 units in a moderate storm, continuing maneuvers along the southern coast of Crimea. There are 3 Kalibrov carriers on combat duty, one of which is underwater. The total rocket equipment is up to 20 missiles, the Yug Design Bureau added. As reported, the Defense Forces of Ukraine from February 24 to October 13 eliminated about 63,800 Russian military personnel. Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov thanked Spain for the decision to transfer 4 Hawk anti-aircraft missile systems to Ukraine. Hawk. This message Reznikov posted in Twitter, reports Ukrinform. I am grateful to my Spanish colleague Margarita Robles for the decision to send 4 Hawk air defense systems to Ukraine. Hawk. This is a quick response to the request for Ramstein 6. Several more Hawks are on the way, the head of the Defense Ministry wrote. At the same time, Reznikov stressed that today air defense is a priority not only for Ukraine, but also for the entire country. Europe. As reported, Emmanuel Macron said that in the coming weeks France will transfer radars and missiles for air defense to Ukraine. As a result of Russian missile attacks on October 10 to 11, 38 educational institutions were damaged in Ukraine. The government plans to allocate funds for urgent repairs for them. This was stated by the Minister of Education and Science Serhiy Shkarlet on the air of the United News Telethon, Ukrinform reports. In total, 38 educational institutions were affected in Ukraine on October 10 to 11. We are urgently drawing up a government document that would allow affected institutions to urgently raise a certain amount of funds to glaze, close the entrances and repair the roofs, Shkarlet said. Also, according to the minister, one of the buildings of the ministry at the intersection of Shevchenko Boulevard and Vladimirskia Street in Kiev was damaged. The center of the blast wave fell on the building that served the problems of education, science, innovation, vocational education, digitalization. These departments were located there. There isn't a single intact office in this building right now. But what is symbolic is that the flag of Ukraine and the banner of the ministry remained standing in the conference hall. Almost everything was destroyed, the minister said. According to him, in addition to the Ministry of Education and Science, the buildings of the Kyiv National University were damaged. Shevchenko National Academy of Sciences, Kyiv Professional College of Communications, Teachers' House, the Presidium of the National Academy of Sciences, and Shevchenko Park. In Kyiv, 3 schools, a kindergarten, and 2 institutions of extracurricular education were damaged as a result of a Russian missile attack. As reported by Ukrinform, on the morning of October 10, Russia launched a massive rocket attack on Ukraine. In Kyiv, 45 residential buildings, 5 critical infrastructure facilities, 6 educational and 5 medical institutions were damaged. There are 57,386 registered crimes in Ukraine related to the full-scale invasion of the Russian Federation. This was reported by the Office of the Prosecutor General, Ukrinform reports. In particular, 39,774 crimes of aggression and war crimes were registered, of which 38,341 were violations of the laws and customs of war, 73 were planning, preparing or initiating and waging an aggressive war, 35 were war propaganda, 1,325 were others. In addition, law enforcement officers registered 17,612 crimes against national security, of which 12,183 were encroachments on the territorial integrity and inviolability of Ukraine, 1,760 were high treason, 2,815 were collaboration activities, 218 were aiding the aggressor state, 64 were sabotage, 572 were others.